This is the third digital clip where we're going to discuss and discover some more of our mind mechanics. On the second clip, we looked at comfort zones and restrictive zones and how they can sometimes limit behavior and challenge ourselves from stepping outside the box. On this digital clip, we're going to focus on self-image, self-esteem, and how they affect real performance. So self-image is very much about how we view ourselves, the possessions that we think we're worthy of, but also the ones we think we're not worthy of too. Self-image often acts as a thermostat on our comfort zones. It limits our performance. It's like it sets the bar for our behaviors, both good and bad. So let's look at some examples of how self-image influences people's behaviors. Take lottery winners. People who win £250,000 to £750,000 on the lottery or the pools in the old days. How come 97% of them have nothing left after 3 years? When they're stood on the stage collecting that great big check from the famous celebrity, what do they say as they receive the check? It won't change me. And this is a powerful suggestion to the subconscious mind. When somebody says, it won't change me, the subconscious mind grabs that, sticks it in our picture reality and says, aha, I'll find lots of different ways of wasting this money as fast as I can so you get back to being the same old you were a few months before. I guess a better question would be, how can I make this money change the way I live for the rest of my life? Let's take smoking as a self-image behavior. When we examine what happens to people when they give up smoking, it's interesting to notice how irritable some people become. And that's because when you think about which part of the mind decides to stop smoking, it's the conscious mind using willpower. Well, the subconscious mind that says, what? You're going to stop doing something that is your sense of self, your self-image. And straight away it causes conflict. And that conflict between the conscious and subconscious mind then leads to stress, which then leads to distress, which then leads us to being a right pain with our friends and our family. And after maybe 20 days or so of being a pain, a loved one will come to you with a cigarette on a pillow and says, please smoke this and stop being a miserable twit. To take a different view on the same issue, what happens to a young lady who's been smoking from the age of 16 and at the age of 21 or 22 finds herself pregnant? How come she can stop smoking overnight? What changes inside her head that doesn't change inside the head of the average smoker? I guess her new and improved self-image is being a great mum and bringing up a healthy child. And that's far more powerful a change at a self-image level than trying to quit a behavior that's part of your identity. So let's consider self-image as not just a personal trait, but a team trait too. How come in the 80s, when Liverpool were a very strong football team, they scored over 80% of their winning goals in the last 7 minutes in every game? What is going on in the mind of both teams 7 minutes before the end of the game? Well, it's simple really. The Liverpool team, who might be losing 1-0, are saying to themselves, we're Liverpool, we don't get beat. Let's pull our socks up. What are the opposition saying to themselves? This can't be right, we're beating Liverpool. Whatever you do, don't screw this up. If we consider how the psychology of the Liverpool and the opposition teams were influenced, it's very easy to point back at a simple little sign that's above the players' tunnel on the way down to the pitch. See, Shankly was more than just a great manager. He liked to influence the team, both on and off the park, and he put up a sign that says, this is Anfield. So self-image and self-esteem are mutually supporting concepts. While self-image is the values, possessions and things we think we're worthy of, self-esteem is our personal self-worth, our achievements, what we're capable of, what we're not capable of. It's interesting to notice how self-esteem is suggestible. It's malleable and is easily influenced by people that we hold in high esteem ourselves. We mentioned before when we looked at the iceberg and conditioning how parents, teachers, friends, peers, managers, leaders influence how we feel about ourselves. However, this all depends on our own level of self-esteem. So let's take our understanding of self-esteem and put it in a real-life context. In a lot of psychology classes in the Western world, they do a simple experiment with the first-year students. They put them through a simple test to see what their academic level is like before they join the university. And having completed the test, they look at the results and interview all of the students post-test. They take all the students that have done really well and tell them they've scored poorly. Clearly this test wasn't great at drawing out the best for you. They then take all the students who scored poorly and tell them they scored really well. Clearly this test was written perfectly for you. You did well, well done. 3 months later, they then get the same students to do a very similar test. And all of the students that were told they did poorly get worse. All of the students who were told they did well get better. What happens to the students who were told this test clearly suited their learning style and they did well? Their self-esteem improved, therefore their attitude towards the exam improved, therefore their recall improved, and their performance improved also. So self-esteem and performance improvement are absolutely linked. But this doesn't just happen in an academic environment. It also happens in life too. There are many studies that show people with high self-esteem get sick less. They get sick for less time as well when they do get sick, and they recover quicker. More interestingly is what happens when you bring self-esteem into the workplace. High self-esteem individuals seem to rub off on everybody else too, and the people around them, their performance improves also. So high self-esteem isn't just one of these gifts we give other people. It pays back in real terms too.